Hey guys, Merry Christmas. I wanted to do something a little different for you today. I sat down with Coach Urban Meyer and we really went kind of in depth on Swamp Kings, and he shared some really cool stories. So I thought today was a good day for you guys to check this out. I hope you're enjoying the holiday with your family and friends. I hope you're having a Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy this chat with Coach.
How'd you like it?
Um, we loved it. It got a lot of positive feedback, obviously. Eric and I watched it together, and we kind of, like would stop and talk about parts and stuff. And there was, I think there's different things about that period of time that resonate differently with each of us. And for me personally, I remember how the Zook firing went down, and obviously that was prior to you getting there, but we were at Chris Hetland's house, and it came across the ticker that Ron Zook had been fired. And about 5 minutes after that happened, their phones started blowing up for text messages that there was a team meeting. So they didn't know, prior to ESPN releasing it, essentially. So they go to that meeting, and I know you probably don't know this, but Eric had his mind made up that he was not going to like you. He went into that meeting, no matter who took that job, he was not going to like him because he didn't like how Zook was fired. He didn't like how it was handled from a telling the players perspective. And when he left that meeting, he called me and he was ready to run through a wall for you. And, almost 20 years later, that hasn't changed. And I don't know if you realize how impactful it was, but one of the things you told them that day was, I know you didn't choose me, but I want you to know that I chose you. And that stuck with him. And that was all it took from that moment. Eric was 100% in, even though he was convinced going into that meeting, he was going to be 100% out. Did you realize how much of an impact that speech had on most of the guys on that team at the time?
Yeah, you never know until you talk to him afterwards. But it was my third trip, and Lou Holtz was my mentor, and he, I think coaches, I don't think I know coaches make horrific mistakes when they give the attitude to wait till I get my own players in here.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I hear that, that's awful. I hear the media say that, when I hear fans say that, and coaches don't say that very often. When they do, I cringe, and if I know the coach, I'll call him and say, "Don't say that."
Mm-hmm.
Because I got news. The minute you say "I do," when you sign your name on a contract, those are your players. You better make them great. And so, I think that approach that they did not choose me; they had no choice, but I did choose them. And then the fact that I believed in them. I know they didn't play well, but we're gonna grind you. And then I also shared with them that this might not be for everyone, because it's going to be the most difficult thing you've ever gone through in your life, because greatness is really hard. And if that doesn't fit your job description, a matter of fact, I'll sign the papers right now and we can move on. If you want to stay and get a ring, stick around and fight through it. So
A lot was made about the quote, the treat my superstars like superstars and my shit like shit quote. And I think,
that was Tyler. That was Sarah. I didn't say that.
yeah, no, it was Siler that said it, but I think, and I think this is probably lost in editing more than anything. But I think the thing that Eric had wished had been portrayed maybe differently or hit home in a different way was that he feels very much like when the word superstar is said, what's really meant is your hardest workers, because he felt like it was, you got out exactly what you put in when it came to you. And that it was very much like your walk on or your highest recruited player were going to be treated based solely on the amount of effort that they gave, not on the ranking that they walked in the door with. Would you say that that's accurate?
I would. Isn't that kind of amazing that we even have? Isn't that the way life should be?
Yes.
James Smith was. I don't know if he's scholarship or not, but he certainly was. Became a captain. Eric Wilbur,
By the end.
Joey Sorrentino. Some of these kids that you're right. I wish they would have not used the word superstar. But if you are, it's a meritocracy,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, a lot of times young people aren't taught that. There's a reason why the best salespeople get nice bonuses and they go to Cancun every year. There's a reason why really bad salesmen get fired. and it's our job to teach them that. So football is the beautiful. It's a laboratory for that. If you don't practice really hard, it's going to be a really tough day for you. You're not going to play. If you do practice hard, I don't care if you're a walk-on or not, you're going to be treated. And eventually, if you're a walk-on, I'm going to hand you a scholarship because that's how much you've earned it. So, yeah, I've always believed in that. I'll never change. I'll never apologize for that. When I hear people say it was really difficult, absolutely it was. And it's not for everybody. That's why there's only one team at the end of the year gets a ring. It's not for everybody.
So I don't know if you even remember this or not, but this was one of the most impactful things on me. Before the 2006 national championship game was New Year's Eve. And you guys decided, and I think the way the story goes, what you told us back then was that it was actually Shelley's idea, that you were going to have all of your players that were going to be in Gainesville go to different coaches' houses for New Year's Eve so that there wasn't any chance of anything happening, right? Any kind of anything. And Eric was assigned to your house, and I got to come because you said if your girlfriend's in town, bring your girlfriend. And
Wow, really? That's good.
yes, and you grilled out. I can remember Shelley jumping on the trampoline with the kids, and I think one of the most impactful moments about that was that you and Nate had a handshake. And you guys, and he walked up to you and you just did it. It wasn't for show. It wasn't, look at what a family man I am. Like, he literally just walked up to you and you guys did your handshake, and he went on. Talk about the impact that, your time at Florida had on your kids, and obviously coaching is hard on the entire family, right? You travel, you're gone. How do you maintain those relationships like that with your kids while you're running one of the biggest and best programs in the country?
Oh, that's a great question, and thanks for asking it. We made a promise. I didn't want to be one of those coaches who moved all over. I came from an incredible family. My father never missed anything, and I was always scared I was going to be that old guy that had trophies and all that. But he said, so I never saw my kids grow up. I missed this. I missed that, and that led to some of the health issues and the mental health struggles I had near the end of my career there, because I missed a lot of things, especially with Gigi. My middle daughter was an athlete, and I had to do those Gator clubs, and I recruited like an animal. I never took a day off, Allie. Think about that. There was never one day that I said I'm not working. And we would go away in July on our summer vacation for a couple days, but I was never away. And that sometimes I would even cut their vacation short, and I'd come back. So the family has always been. I just grew up in a very strong family. I'm very fortunate. We have the 3 wonderful children, and they're all got great spouses and 4 grandkids now. But I tried to, if you remember, every Thursday too was family night. Mm-hmm. And that was something we started because I wanted to see the kids and the coaches, and I wanted Eric Wilbers of the world to have dinner with Shelley. I wanted him to see Nate and meet Nikki and understand that this is a family deal now. And there's good and bad about that. I've also been a part of programs where there's really no family at all. Mm-hmm. And some people like that. That's not the way we decided. If we're going to be all in, that means I'm going to be in your business. I want to meet your girlfriend. That's why I said that. Come over to the house. I need to know your grades. If you're struggling in school and not going to class, or if you're putting really bad stuff in your body, you're a family member. I'm going to dive into you, and we're going to stop that, or do our best to make you stop it. So that was a big part of it, and it's something is probably, I look back, probably my favorite thing about raising my children in the coaching world and being part of, the Wilbur family.
Do you have any regrets about your time at Florida, or anything that, in hindsight, you wish you'd done differently?
Yeah, I wish I didn't get eaten up alive, and I wish it would have ended differently. Some people say I gave too many kids chances. That's why I'm glad Netflix came out. There became this narrative that we had all these bad guys, and Brandon James bought $18 worth of marijuana once, and I almost killed the kid. We had some issues. Of course, we had issues, and everybody's going to talk about Aaron Hernandez, and Aaron Hernandez had some problems, but that all happened when he left. Mm-hmm. And we did our best to fight through stuff with players, but to say that Florida was a bunch of thugs, I'll stand up and fight anybody right now. That's one of the great things about being in the position I'm in. I don't care. And when I see, some clowns write some negative stuff, I kind of, feel sorry for the person. That's what they have to do for a living. Because I know Seiler, I know Spikes, I know Dallas Baker, I know all those great kids that did those interviews. I know Eric. I can see you guys and how the great memories you've had. So I regret the way it ended, and I will always regret that because regardless of what Florida people think of the Meyer family, the one thing you can never say is, boy, they didn't give us their all. Because from Shelly, my 3 children, and myself, you can't say for 1 second, boy, I wish they just worked a little harder. No, you can't say that.
Yeah. And I think Gator Nation is incredibly grateful for that. And I honestly think that the longer that you're the realization of what you guys did give to the program becomes more and more apparent. People are prisoners of the moment, right? And so when they lose what they think is just this incredible thing, they're bitter about it or they're upset. And then the longer you have time, you're just grateful for what you did get, the time that you had, what you had
I
here.
think, Ellie, when I went to coach, I was done. I was really convinced I was done.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sure enough, a year later, I'm coaching again, and I don't blame Gator Nation, and but the cool thing is my experience with Gators fans everywhere it's been A+. So some person that sits behind a newspaper article or someone that types something in, I'm at the point in my life, we're good.
Yeah.
I want to go. I want to see Allie and Eric, and I want to see your children and see big smiles on your face. And as I tell those guys, wear those rings once in a while to make sure people know you're a champion.
That was actually one of the biggest pieces of advice Eric got with the beginning of his career in the financial industry was always wear your ring. It will open so many doors for you. So when he is in a suit, that ring is on his hand. And I will tell you, he coaches our 4 girls in soccer and in baseball. And he is literally the most intense youth sports coach you have ever seen. And I swear that part of it comes from you. We have a brother-in-law who will text and be like, all right, does Meyer have the game plan ready for soccer this weekend? Because he has scouted who he's playing. He has worked on, it is the most intense level of youth sports you've ever seen, but we win a lot. So
I'll tell you, I love the specialists with Eric and Hetland and Butchie Rowley and James Smith, and those guys were, because I coached them. They were my guys, and Hiram DeFries worked with them, and I'll still remember the day we ran that fake punt on our own 10-yard line. It was called Blitz at 9, and I almost couldn't get it out. My mouth went dry, and I remember Wilbur looking at me going, "Now." I said, "Now," and then Jamel Cornelius was about 25 yards away, and I'm getting his attention. It was so loud in that arena.
Yeah.
And going, blitz at 9, blitz at 9. And he said the same thing Wilbur said, like, now, like on their own 10-yard line. And I won't use the language I use, but, it's now.
Now. Jamel Cornelius sits 2 rows in front of us at our season tickets. So we have seen him on all the home games this season. And we saw Smitty last weekend too.
Love that guy.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about the Netflix, honestly, is exactly what you said. Like there are so many amazing human beings on that team that grew up to be incredible fathers and friends and husbands and everything. And sometimes that does get lost in the fact that there were some guys that made mistakes on that team. But overall, it's a team of really good people who went on to do really great things with their lives.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. Like I said, I'll square up. I'm an older guy now, but I'll square up anybody that says if they say there was bad guys. I'll say, some guys make mistakes, and I also feel that I can say this as well, that there were people getting in trouble for stuff they shouldn't be getting in trouble for either. And I couldn't say that back then because one arrest is too many. But I'm thinking, wait, I read what goes on in this world. I go, wait, what? We were worried about that. And then I had an administrator one time say that we need to make an example out of that guy. And I said, I'm doing everything I can not to come across this table at you because that's someone's child, that's someone's kid. I have 3 kids. If I ever heard someone say we're going to make an example of your kid, that's a fight you would lose. So I fight for players. I believe in players. I know they go through hard times. We're hard on players. We're demanding on players. But you only get them for 3 or 4 years. And my whole goal is make sure those are the best 3 or 4 years of their life.
Well, I think that was mission accomplished for most all of your guys, for sure. Coach, I appreciate this so much. It was amazing. It was good to catch up with you. Hopefully, maybe we'll catch you down in Sarasota sometime.
Yeah, call me sometime and we'll do it a lot. We'll do one live.
All right, that would be amazing. And I know Eric would love to show you all 4 of our kids. 2 of them were already in bed, but this was really awesome. I appreciate it.
Talk again.